The satisfaction of spending your hard-earned hobby dollars on a brand new kit and then putting it in your backlog to never see it again. What a rush! But what if the... But what if there's a way that I told you where you can spend your hard-earned hobby money, give you that same elation without adding up to your backlog? In this episode of Hobby MoPro, we focus on productivity and talk about the 4 types of books you can spend your hard-earned hobby money on. Now stay tuned because in this specific video we have 2 opportunities for giveaways. Sadly, they're not miniatures, but they are books that I will be talking about in this video. Now the more obvious thing that you can spend your hobby money on is books about the lore of the miniatures or miniature you are painting on, whether it be like a specific 3D print or a miniature war game that has so many different types of franchises. This book was, I believe, released when they released the Dark Imperium set, which is an actual kit which continued the storyline of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, which you can also follow through the book or through playing the tabletop game. The reason why I recommend or I like buying lore books because they aren't just a source of entertainment, but they also sort of give you an inspiration on where to take the model you are painting. Not only do books like this get you in the mood to paint, but as you are painting, you are already imagining the story the figure you are holding is taking, but you're imagining the story and what role the figure or miniature you're painting in takes place. Did I say that right? Anyway, I'll fix that in post. So books like these, especially from the Black Library, are why I have a Black Templar army. Normally when you paint a kit, there's not a lot of fluff that tells us about what the miniature is, but when we know the backstory or what the miniature is about, we know the story of the weapon, the armor, where it's from, we can sort of design how we want to paint it. Do we want to paint it a little bit neat, a bit more grungy? Do we want the base to be war-torn, or do we want it to look like they're in a mansion? It all just helps inspire the imagination as a painter. So for people who are thinking about reading books in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, I recommend highly Hell's Reach and the 2 books about Dante from the Blood Angels. And my best recommendation is actually the Horus Heresy, the whole series, which I'm actually not done with. But if you're still watching with me, I am willing to give one lucky commenter below a free ebook or a free digital book. What do you call it when? Audiobook. A free audiobook from Audible. This is not a sponsored video, I wish it was, and I am a subscriber from Audible and I do get credits every month and I have a lot of extra credits. I'm willing to use 1 credit to send you a book of your choice. Any book. Of course, I would recommend it would be one of the books in the Black Library, which is Warhammer 40,000's publication company. All you have to do is just comment below the Audible link of the book that you want me to get for you, because I need to see the book in Audible so I can purchase it and I'll just send it to you. So go shopping. The next type of book is one of the earliest books that I got when I got into the hobby. This book is a very popular book, popularized by the very famous Teri Litorco. She's very synonymous to the wargaming, hobby, and board game, and even geekdom world. This book is literally her. The Civilized Guide, yeah. To tabletop gaming, rules every gamer must live by. Essential skills to not being the protocol to lending and borrowing games, curating a collection, how to be a good winner and better loser, the basics of teaching games. So this was the first book that I ever read and it really helped me get in touch with the community I was getting into. So this is a perfect type of book to get if you're new in the hobby. So what I like about this book is that it not only teaches you about the basics of what are the terms commonly used globally by hobbyists, but also it teaches you, like, you know, the things that are not normally written about in terms of decorum when it comes to playing board games with friends, having a group of board gamers, playing with war gamers in a club. My favorite part is how she gives you tips on how to both learn and teach board games and war games to someone who completely has no idea what it's about. You know, it's a very short book, easy to read, and the language is pretty fun. Google Teri Litorco if you don't know her. You'll learn a lot about geek stuff, and she even has a YouTube channel. And plus she's Pinay, so like that's great, plus points for us, right? So the next book is also, I would say, part of a culture category, but I want to feature it because I have been waiting for so long to get my hands on a copy of this. Armies, Legions, and Hordes. I haven't read this yet, but you guys can Google this book, you'll know so much about it. Basically, this is I'm hoping is gonna be my favorite book as a wargamer, and probably for you guys too. To my understanding, this has been made for and by miniature wargamers. It is not a Warhammer 40k only book, it's anything, everything miniature wargamer. It's amazing. A lot of content creators also took part in making this, but more importantly, big names in the industry have contributed to making this book. And when I'm talking about big names, the foreword alone is by Dan Abnett. So referencing the first part of this video, famous Warhammer 40k writer did the foreword of this book. You see 40k stuff, you see War Machine stuff, you see art from other existing books, you see convention photos, you see kit bashes. Most importantly, you see the works of other hobbyists like ourselves. The great part here, and what I like about it, is it's not just a place to look at great inspiration and pegs, but you actually get to see how people plan and create their army. It will show you the process and how the actual owner of that army got there, the inspiration, the tips, the tricks, the traits, the process, everything. There's even stuff for terrain, there's even stuff for titans. You know, I'm just excited to just bite into this book. As a wargamer, you're gonna love going through this book. I can already tell. Photos alone, I'm so excited to just like look through it. Now, if you're still watching and you're still with me, the reason why I'm excited about this part of the video and showing this book is because I'm also going to give away a second copy of the book. So again, this is not sponsored. I was just very lucky that the order was delayed, and when I emailed Warlord Games about it, they said, we'll just send you a second copy. And when I said, oh, both copies arrived, can I send it back? The customer service guy said it's in our company thrust to not inconvenience customers, so just keep it. And I'm like, cool, can I give it away? And like, yeah, give it away. And then you can thank them. I've always had great experience in ordering from Warlord Games. All you have to do is to subscribe, like this video, and comment to me an army you have or an army you plan on painting. That's when I can tell the difference between if you're trying to enter for the Audible contest a while ago, or you're trying to get this really cool book. And last but not the least is actually my current favorite book. Well, I wouldn't say, it's hard to call, it is a book. It is a book, but it's just got no words in the book. They do say that a photo is worth 1,000 words, and if you just look at that, bruh, this is a book or a compilation of a very, very famous painter's work for, I think, the last year. You guys probably already know Rochelle Parente. If you don't, I actually don't know what you should do if you don't, but you should. She is one of the featured artists in Figure Mentor. Figure Mentor is an online publication that features the best of the best miniature painters, and they show in-depth interviews and tutorials, and you get to see the passion between famous painters like David Cowell, and it's just really great that she has stuff like this that you can get from her website. But if you're a fan of Dust and the creator of Dust, he is her husband. So I run a local painting group on Facebook. She's a big inspiration to a lot of us. It's amazing to just get lost in the details. It's inspiring to see someone stick to just display painting, and you could tell that the journey to focus on the skill of display painting was worth it. And though she doesn't have an army like an army that I know of, having a piece like this in your display cabinet must be so fulfilling. And to have a book like this is inspiring. So I always like to flip through this book and just tell myself that if a person can do this, what are the chances that I could get that much closer? So I would classify books like this as the art/inspo types of book. The fourth type of book that I want to invest in are more detailed guides about leveling up your painting. And while Armies, Legions, and Hordes does talk about tutorials, they do talk about army painting. There are a lot of PDFs, tutorials, and magazines and books that talk about figure display painting. This one is by A.K. I haven't purchased it yet, but I will, because this year my goal is to not really increase my backlog. But I do want to invest in myself in the hobby, and this is why I'm making this video, because we're investing in books and learning and not our ever-growing backlog. If you don't have a plastic miniature backlog, you actually end up having a books to read backlog, which is it's actually no different from what we have now. Shit. I guess it just gives you guys an idea of where else you can spend your hobby money on instead of just buying models and tools and paints. It might be nice to diversify your spending just so you don't get super overloaded. For people who like to spend on their hobby, I can understand that. Definitely. Special mention to a Kickstarter, the Golden Compendium, an Instagram account. Well, at least I know it from Instagram. And they are making a compilation of all the Golden Demon winners, I think from the very start. So Golden Demon is the prestigious painting, one of the prestigious painting contests held by Games Workshop. They just compiled all the works, and at the same time they also interview feature the process, I think, or the interview, or they just write about the pieces, and you know, that alone it's enough for me to just like, wow, I want that. I see books as twofold. They're very entertaining, they feed my inspiration, they feed my soul, but they also make me feel like I'm getting somewhere, I'm learning something, I'm absorbing something. If I'm not in the mood to paint but I want to do something hobby related, I just pick up a book and I read. So comment the book you want on Audible for a free Audible book. And then comment your favorite army or army you plan to paint, or current army that you have, to get a book, to get a second copy of Armies, Legions, and Hordes. That has been our episode for today. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. My name is Louis from Louis Loves Minis, reminding you to always hobby every day to keep the sprues away.